Hello and welcome to On the Edge in Focus. I'm your host, Peter Martinez. This is the show that covers the news and entertainment industry here in Southern California and around the world. And we have a special guest today for you. Her name is Pamela Wagner, an Emmy award-winning producer and TV writer. And we're so happy to have you here today. And it's a pleasure to have you. And welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And you are from New York. And you live there with your husband and perhaps family. And we'd like to start off the show just learning a little more about you and how you became who you are today.
Well, I am a Fullerton native. I was born in Southern California and raised in Fullerton. I did attend Troy High School and was mentored by Tom Moore, who was at that time the head of the drama department. And many of my fellow students from that era of Tom Moore's life have gone on to have careers in film and television. So he obviously had a big influence on a lot of us, and I still feel that the education I got in theater at Troy High School was superior to a lot of what I had in college. But I did go back east to college, and I did start out majoring in theater and decided to switch to film and television when I fell under the sway of David Thompson, he writes for the LA Times quite frequently.
A critic.
Mm-hmm, he's a critic, and at that time he was teaching film studies at Dartmouth College, where I was attending. And he encouraged me that I might consider being behind the cameras as opposed to in front or on the stage. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall that my acting career probably wasn't going to happen, and that directing was actually very interesting to me. And at that time I decided to pursue film and television as a major.
So in what ways did directing entice you to move away from the acting career?
Truly, it was when I did not get the role of Roxandra in Cyrano de Bergerac, and the woman who got the part had no experience, but she was absolutely gorgeous. And I realized that I probably should put my talents elsewhere. And I just liked being in charge. My whole life I liked being in charge. And I could see that directing, you had a lot of creative input, and it was a job for a smart person, and I thought of myself that way, and just thought it suited my personality better than acting.
In what way, just to go back to your time at Troy, which is actually right across from the Cal State Fullerton campus.
Indeed.
What did he impress upon you? What opportunities did he give you to pursue the entertainment, the media industry, that sort of thing?
In my opinion, Tom Moore was a fantastic teacher because he told us we could do anything. And basically, Troy was well known for its music department as well, so we always produced musicals. And he said, you know what, you guys can write your own musical. You don't have to just do, the Roger and Hammerstein Carousel. And in fact, we did write 2 musicals. We wrote a version of The Wizard of Oz, and we wrote a new music score to Peter Pan. And those were the 2 original projects that I performed in. And I just think you take a group of talented students and you don't limit them, and you give them a really big challenge, and you set the bar really high, and you get great results. And I think that just imbued me with confidence in myself and my peers. Even though we were kids, we could really do a lot.
So at an early age, you had already had so much experience. And would you say that that is what leads to opportunities in the future? For future success in a career?
I think that any time you decide to pursue something as difficult as a career in film or television, you have to be the kind of person who thinks, I can do this no matter what the odds are. Because you have to have that sort of fire in the belly in order to make it. There's a lot of other jobs that are much easier. Recruiters come to campus. All you have to do is show up at a certain time and maybe get a job offer. Film and television is not like that. And you just have to keep banging on doors and trying and being rejected and trying again if you want to make it. And so I think that idea of just really wanting to try hard was instilled in me at an early age.
How has your family, your mother, husband, how have they encouraged you to continue to be so successful and to follow your dream?
Well, both my parents, my father and my mother, were very supportive of me throughout my time in high school. They never said, oh, what do you want to do being in those school plays? They thought it was great. And when I went to college, they never said, we want you to major in engineering or the sciences. After all, what are you going to do to make a living? They never did that. They were always supportive of my choices. And I do think I've been invited to speak at my college to graduates who have majored in film and television. And I always say that, clap for your parents. They allowed you, they paid for you to be here, and they didn't give you a hard time about being a film studies major, and that's a special gift for a kid to have.
Do you think there is that stigma, or whatever you want to call it, that arts, you just don't make a living, or?
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's getting worse in a way.
Really?
Because the whole world we live in is so expensive. And, you know, if I wanted to make a lot of money, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. I do it because I love it. Mm-hmm. Fortunately, though, for people who are majoring in radio and film and television, because of reality TV, there are actually many more jobs in nonfiction filmmaking than there were when I graduated college. You know, the content, we could discuss how edifying that is, but there certainly are many, many more career opportunities.
The work you've done has been high quality, and it's nice to see that on TV amongst all the reality TV. What do you think the future is of that?
Well, that's a tough question, because I do get depressed sometimes when I turn on the TV and I see what's out there. And the volume of really lowbrow television. I think the future in terms of interesting programming may be something like YouTube, or it may be on the internet, or it may be podcasting, or things that we haven't even thought of yet. I definitely have been intrigued to watch my 14-year-old daughter experience media in a different way. She's very hooked into the internet. She definitely knows how to navigate YouTube. And she doesn't just use it for the dumb videos of people dancing around. She really, there's a show called Ask the Weird Guy, where they talk about God and does he exist? And I observe her taking in actually quite serious content and thinking about it from the internet. So I'm very curious to see what happens there.
Does it scare you that anybody can make video content?
It's a great question, because I talk about it to my friends and colleagues all the time. What does it mean that any kid sitting in his basement can put a video up on YouTube? But the truth is, I think it's great. And I think that as the facility with the technology and the tools gets greater and greater, that just allows us to spend more time on the content. Mm-hmm. So I actually think it's a good thing.
Well, great. And I know there are websites, and I call them webcasters, that are biting into what are the traditional media, the cable, broadcast TV, over the air, and that sort of thing. And I know there are people who want to make video, but they can't distribute it. Mm-hmm. And I think the web has broken down all those barriers. Have you ever encountered any difficulties in finding an audience for your work, or?
Well, when you work, primarily my films have all aired on television. So they had a built-in audience to the extent that they were either commissioned for a series, like American Masters, who have their own publicity machine, or I've done a lot of work for Bill Moyers, and he has his own sort of publicity-generating machine. I do think it's a challenge. I don't know how the internet is going to go about building audiences, and I don't know how the financial model is going to evolve. How are people going to make a living making videos for the internet? That's where I'm sort of curious to see how it all ends up.
All right. Well, we will continue our conversation with you, and we're actually going to take a look at an Emmy Award winning documentary you made about Lucille Ball. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.